Proud supporters of Africa this week. Engine, with us, you are number one.
10 years ago, Sierra Leone was in the throes of one of Africa's most gruesome civil wars and a center for the blood diamond trade. 9 years later, this tiny West African country has undergone a remarkable economic transformation. Dr. Richard Conte, Minister of Trade and Industry in the country, spoke to us.
I'm sure you must have heard that we had one of the worst maternal mortality rates in the world, one of the worst infant mortality rates. Basically, our health indices were very bad. Yeah. And so the government set out to deal with them by providing the necessary infrastructure across the country to ensure these facilities are operational. And more importantly, he instituted what we called the partial free healthcare initiative, a free healthcare for pregnant mothers, lactating mothers and children under 5. And what that actually intends to do is to ensure that delivery does not become a painful exercise. Many people have had to die in the process of delivery primarily because they cannot afford it. And so with this free healthcare extended to them, then it will be possible for them to go to hospitals and deliver, and in that way lives have been saved.
Electricity issues?
In the area of electricity, we came in 2007 when the country had less than 6 megawatts of power. Within the first 100 days in office, we were able to increase it about 20 megawatts. Now we have about 75 megawatts of installed power capacity in the grid. We also have ensured that steps are being taken to ensure that the potential 2,000 megawatts which the country has is exploited. That is why we are now looking for investors that can invest in this sector to be able to exploit this. That is why, for example, I am in South Africa to lure credible investors like the EDFs, like Shanduka and others, to see how they can come in and be part of a process to develop these resources.
Obviously, despite your improved growth credentials, you're still competing with countries like Ghana and Nigeria in West Africa for foreign direct investment. Now, you're a country that comes with this historical baggage, with some infrastructure constraints. How difficult is it to sell Sierra Leone, particularly through your investment promotion agency?
Now, the greatest challenge we have found is that only thing people know about Sierra Leone is the war. Yeah. The issue of blood diamonds, the issue about amputations. While holding all of those facts as true, they are all part of history. We have moved on. We have gone through a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The people of Sierra Leone have decided that never again should that happen. We are now vigorously implementing the recommendations of that commission, but more importantly, we are addressing the root causes of the conflict, most of which are hinged around issues of corruption, and we have one of the most rigid, stringent anti-corruption laws in the country, and they are biting very hard. The president is committed, and he's saying that there are no sacred cows, and there's clear evidence that it is working. And we have also ensured that democracy thrives. We have had 2 successful national elections in 2002 and 2007, one leading to a change of government, and local council election in 2004, 2008. And we are ensuring that people have a voice. Right. And just recently, the president has committed himself to a 30% quota for women.
Tandi Lane is better known as a trailblazer in the story of economic transformation and women's empowerment in South Africa. And now she has been appointed as chairman of petroleum giant BP in South Africa, an undertaking she will assume at the beginning of May.
Transformation is my passion. So one of the things I'll be looking at are around transformatory issues. And I use transformation in a broad sense, not only in terms of race, but in terms of some of the practices that are there. So I will learn and then try and influence and work together with the CEO and the team.
Right. I think BP South Africa, other than being a major sort of petroleum retailer where we go and service our cars and get petrol, is very much under the radar. And yet the parent company has been very prominent recently for all the wrong reasons. That spillage in the Gulf of Mexico and the reputational issues that it's led to for British petroleum in general. Has South Africa been impacted by those kinds of issues, and how are you then going to raise the environmental question in the work that you do?
I think as a part of the mother company, clearly there would be an impact. I've followed the story in the Gulf of Mexico. I've read around the issues in Russia. So it's a company I've always been interested in. I believe in South Africa and across the world, they have been one of the trailblazers around environmental issues. It was very unfortunate that this thing happened. And I think they have taken a flag for it. They have tried to respond to it in a constructive way. And I believe that as a South African and in the tip of Africa, we will try to work within this context. My understanding and talking to people, there has been no direct impact on the South African market. However, one has got to be cognizant of the global brand.
Obviously, a lot of questions have been raised about South Africa's energy security, and of course right now with a stronger rand, it's been more affordable for us to import refined product into the economy. But as part of job creation, as part of just managing our resources better, there is a sense that we need to be investing aggressively in new pipelines. There's talk of one at Kucha, investing in more refining capacity, and the state often argues that in as much as it's responsible for the infrastructure, the international oil companies need to also come to the party. What do you think BP's role is in a situation like that?
I think that's the interesting part when you get into an environment or a sector that has got to look at the challenges, and you must be able to look and see how creative you can be around that. And as you say, it's been in the market, the talk around the oil sector, and I'm looking forward to participating as chairman of BP in that environment.
You know, the reason I'm asking you this is because the current CEO of BP has been quoted extensively in the media where he's very cautious about multinationals being dragged into a broader developmental agenda in that sense, saying that, for instance, supply issues must determine whether or not it's cost effective to build a refinery. So you come in with a macro perspective, and he's just looking at the balance sheet and saying some of these things don't make sense for the company. So do you think you're going to have some challenges with the CEO?
The beauty of being involved at a strategic level is to give input into those debates, is to push the envelope, is to have people thinking out of the box, as the cliche says. But I'm not managing the company. He has got to report on the bottom line. But I find that Sipho is quite an intelligent person, an exciting CEO. So I'm sure we will have a lot of debates around these issues.
Diversified empowerment company Sekunjalo Investment made headlines earlier this year when it announced plans to expand it to Africa, a market described by CEO Khalid Abdullah as ripe with opportunities.
South Africa is obviously rebuilding, as we're only a democracy for the last 15 years now. And I think from an indigenous point of view, we pride ourselves in being a preeminent black empowered company. And I think, there is still a role to play for BE. And as you know, most of the sectors in the South African market hasn't transformed fully yet. And I think there's opportunity to grow there. We also believe that over the last 15 years, and especially within our group, we have built quite a bit of leaders that can go forward, within the South African economy and the African economy to grow various business, either with ourselves or, within the environment. Sekunjalo has obviously, since its listing 12 years ago, has grown significantly, and we do see that South Africans can grow businesses, and secondly, we are taking the platform up now to the next level where we want to grow within Africa by creating further jobs in the various sectors, as we have, in the fishing area, in our IT businesses and our strategic investments within multinational parties.
Those who are very critical of things like economic empowerment in the South African context say that what we need is local entrepreneurship. We need the rise of local capital, not piggybacking off any legislation. What are some of the difficulties you've experienced that you could refer to?
Look, some of the difficulties that were experienced, I think, historically, is that the leadership qualities of various companies, multinationals, black empowerment, all of them, they weren't training and transforming junior and middle managers into senior executives. I think we pride ourselves in having done that over the last while, and we believe that that's a sustainable model for South Africa and Africa. And I think if more people invest in their people like we have, from a leadership point of view, I think that is quite key. And we do pride ourselves in it, and we have leadership programs within our organization, besides from all levels within the organization and our structures, to grow entrepreneurs in South Africa. And I think for them to think differently, our whole model has changed. The people, you know, we believe that by thinking different, thinking out of the box, we can grow. And we do have the confidence to grow within South Africa and Africa. I think that's quite key.